Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sun Up on 7. I hope that y'all enjoy that Monday morning beef. It is medium rare, so if you want to grab something, you can always meet Jules and get your share. It's time for our first conversation here with our guest. But before we introduce her, let me remind you can follow us on our various social media platforms, which include Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you miss any of our conversations, you can go on YouTube because, hey, you cannot miss anything that happens here on Sun Up. Let me introduce her. So we have Dr. Keisha Melodi McSweeney Gussow, and she is a geneticist. Did I get it right?
Yes.
Right. And she's the team lead for the toxicology branch at the FDA in the United States. That's heavy. That's heavy, and I love it. First, I want to congratulate you on that position and the work that you do.
Thank you.
It's totally admirable. And,
you.
we're so proud of you as a Belizean doing such great work in the US. Before we get into our conversation, I just want to do a check-in. How are you feeling today? It's Monday.
I'm good. I'm
Yeah?
excited. This is like my first time on media in my country. I'm
Lovely.
so
Well,
excited.
thank you for
Oh my
choosing to
goodness.
join us.
I'm so
on Sun Up.
happy that we're the first that you're
Yeah.
able to grace us with your presence. And your
Oh my
curls be
God,
popping,
stop.
girl. Just want to try that.
Girl,
Things that pop, you know?
Belize just come humble me with all of this humidity because in the house, it pop. Walk outside.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? You just stay strong. And just pop it in a minute. They don't even know how to go the way I want to. They don't need to know. Just once you just feel like you look good, you got it, boo.
No,
and I just
right.
want to throw out to also that Dr. Keisha is a Mercy girl. So
That's right.
we got that
I see your
Illumina
ring.
thing going there. So from a lot of our viewers out there, hearing team lead, hearing all these different things, trying to understand the role.
Yeah.
Can we maybe
Working at the FDA,
Yeah, especially that. So can you tell us a little bit about your role as team lead working at the United States FDA? Can you just dive into it, break it down a little bit so we can be able to digest what that means? Because it
Yeah.
sounds like Kevin says heavy.
Sure. I will start off with a disclosure that I am here on my own behalf, not on behalf of the FDA. They tell
Right.
me I need to say that.
Uh-huh.
I'll break it down a little bit. They talk at the FDA a lot. It's like alphabet soup. So you're under a lot of different hierarchies. So you're just saying a lot of words, and I'll get down to the thing. I am the team lead for the toxicology branch within the Center of Devices and Radiological Health at the FDA. So that means we regulate medical devices, and we regulate those that are outside the body. So there's like devices like pacemakers that go within the body. The ones that go outside the body are things like diabetes, sugar measurements, pregnancy tests, genetic tests, those things. I am the team lead for the component of the toxicology branch that looks at genetic tests and women's health tests.
So you kind of like oversee all of these different things and make sure everything's in check for the devices.
Yeah, so we're a team of scientific reviewers. So companies send in scientific data and regulatory information to show that they've tested their tests, they're safe, they're efficacious, and we review it. We work with the sponsors, and eventually it comes to market. And then we're sort of, by market I mean like it's being sold to the public.
Okay.
And then we have what's called total product life, so we're also monitoring post-market in case there's any issues.
Yeah. Wow, that's like a very important position.
Yeah, because
given that
she's
I
the
mean,
last approval.
Right. No, and also because all of these things before they hit the market, they need to be able to be accurate and precise because it's your health that you're monitoring, right? So we cannot be putting stuff out there that you might get like a false reading or stuff
Right.
that is
Exactly.
inaccurate. So
You got
They
it.
need to do what they say they do.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean,
so tell us about your journey. How did you get there?
I feel like a lot of it is serendipitous. I didn't know this was even a position. I didn't. Yeah, everyone knows FDA. You hear food and drug, you think drugs. Okay, fine. I didn't know they had a devices center.
I didn't know either.
Right? I didn't know you could be. I see myself up there.
There you
I didn't
go.
know you could be a scientific reviewer of the data that they send in. I didn't know any of that. But I pursued a PhD in genetics. That was interesting to me. I thought, I'm a twin, I'm a fraternal twin, and I always thought it was very interesting how characteristics separate, how children look like their parents or don't, how diseases go, from different generations to the next.
Right.
So I pursued a degree in genetics, and that's what led me to the FDA, where I did a postdoctoral fellowship. I looked at the effect of chemotherapy on different genetic aspects, see what damage it causes. Because you guys know, you get chemotherapy, your hair falls out.
Yeah.
A lot of other things happen, a lot of other damage happens while you're trying to kill the cancer cells. So I was looking at the cellular level, what happens in chemotherapy. And while at the FDA, which is why I call it serendipitous, you meet people, you see people in the hallway, you ask, what do you do? Are you a postdoc as well? And I met scientific reviewers, and they explained to me what they did. And then I sort of, went across the campus, which is basically just like a 10-minute walk, and met with other people, and they explained it to me, and that's basically how I became involved. And I fell in love with the position, and it's one of those things where you learn every day something new.
I love it. So how long have you been there?
I've been in this realm for 3 years.
Okay.
I had been at the FDA 1 year prior doing my postdoc.
I love that.
So you've had such a beautiful journey, but I know, especially, when you're studying, when you're going through maybe the different, being a woman also in the field of science, all these things can, kind of have a little punch in the overall journey. Could you talk a little bit about maybe one shortcoming, one low point that was in your career and how you overcame it? Because I want to talk to some of the young women out there too as well that, maybe aspire and they say, wow, she's doing all these amazing things. How do I get into that kind of frame of mind? How do I go on that journey too as well? And what will I kind of expect sometimes going on that journey?
Oof, okay, I'll try my best. I think the first thing I want to say in response to your question is not to idolize or idealize any sort of position or any sort of journey, because the end looks beautiful and the path is not. So that's the first thing. But then in terms of a low point, I spoke about this a little bit in my graduation speech, and I don't want to be redundant, but I do think it was something that slapped me in the face. I was maybe 4.5 years into my PhD. I was at the end. I had done everything I needed to do. I was wrapping up one project, and I went to speak to a professor who was not my mentor, just someone who was helping. And I presented data, and I was very excited about it. And I sent him an email afterwards, and he responded, and he was basically like, "This isn't enough. You're not gonna graduate. You're not gonna publish. Sorry." And I knew at the time that I had done enough. But when you're meeting with somebody else who you think is, in a higher power than you are, you think someone who has influence on your career, you feel it it slaps you like, he doesn't believe that my data is sufficient.
Yeah.
He doesn't believe that I'll graduate. So I went home, I was crying, and I was upset. I called my parents, and, and I called my now husband, and everyone was sort of telling me, he has no real influence, And my dad will say, what God has for you is for you,
And yeah.
Relax. And I feel like that was a really low time. I went to my professor the next morning, and I didn't want to be a tattletale and be like, this other guy just told me this, but I was like, please tell me what I need to do to move to the next step. Do you agree that this is enough or not? And he was basically like, calm down, you're fine, You were fine 3 months ago, relax. But it takes a toll on you emotionally, makes you feel like it's not enough. All the work you did wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone doesn't believe it. And a lot of the times when they attack your science, it's not just personal, it's also skill. They're telling you your skill isn't as good.
Yeah.
So overcoming that to me, I think, was talking to people who had my best interest in mind. That guy didn't have my best interest in mind. Other people did. And, laying out, I'm also very, very practical. Unfortunately, it kicks me in the butt a lot. But laying it out, okay, this is the paper you published, this is the data, this is the fact, this is his opinion is subjective.
Yeah.
The objective information points to a different result. And I think put together with speaking to my family and my now husband, that helped, and it worked out.
Right. So a support system is very, very
Yes.
important. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you said, people that have your best interests at heart. I think it's super important that we make sure we have conversations with people that actually care about us or want the better for us, because there are some people that are a bit malicious, that see things in another way, and they can bring down your spirit and make you feel less than yourself. So super important.
So just following in line with the conversation here, Dr. Keisha, for young people that are thinking to branching off into studying STEM, for instance, what are some inspiration words or some guidance that you can offer to them?
First of all, I think it's interesting. Find something that's interesting to you. Not everyone finds science interesting. Some people, I found genetics interesting, but until I found genetics, all of it was like, eh. So, some people find zoology, marine life. Find something that's interesting, and allow yourself the opportunity to leave if you don't like it. Do something else. Life is short, but life is also really long. You have an opportunity to test things out. So if you're interested in science, find the thing that sparks, most of your interest, pursue that, talk to people, ask for help, let them know what you're thinking about. If you're thinking, I want to eventually do research, tell everyone you want to do that. Someone will say, listen, I have a cousin, talk to so-and-so. And allow yourself the opportunity to fail and get back up. You're gonna fail. It's not gonna be easy. And that's just, you learn a lot when you fail. So I think that's the best way to take it. When you're on the ground, take a look around, take in the...
It gives you a better perspective.
Right? You see the
sit
whole
there.
room when you're on the ground.
You too as well, which is
Right.
needy. Sometimes you all need some humbling. Just saying.
Definitely.
So on that same note of STEM and thinking about, the opportunities that are out there, a lot of people, when they start studying STEM in a different forms, technology, all these things, Belize sometimes seems to not be able to have the market adequately to maybe sustain people, to pay them and so forth. So people have that tendency, to go outwards, wherever it is, maybe regional, internationally, to go and find other jobs. And so that is the brain drain. So can you talk a little bit about the idea of brain drain and young people trying to find their place in society and when it comes to Belize and, seeing where they can meet their salary? Because nobody wants to work somewhere where they're underpaid, they're underdeveloped. Every single thing is not working for them. So could you talk a little bit about the idea of brain drain and finding your place?
Yeah, I can give my opinion. Honestly, I think it's a problem, and we're all gonna have to put together and continuously work towards it because, Belize's education system is amazing. Geniuses come out of this country, and there is a little bit of a bottleneck where at some point a lot of people leave. Like I went to the U.S. where you need to go pursue higher education. And at some point, my generation and the people who left, have to come back to give to the next because we need to build this infrastructure to allow for others to develop. I know plenty of scientists, Belizean scientists, my year, who are abroad, who all have a heart to come back and who are all thinking about, what can we do? What kind of institutes can we build? How can we help? And while I don't have like a tangible response for you, I fully agree that it's something that our generation needs to work on so that the next doesn't have as much work to do. Because I don't think coming back you'll end up getting as much pay, but you'll get the heart of Belize here. You'll get to help the next.
Sometimes you make the market too as well. You actually bring something in that we never had before.
Yeah. And that's the thing that for a lot of STEM positions that people are studying now, those are not positions for now, right?
Yeah.
Those are like career positions in the next 5 to 10 years because technology evolves, science keeps on evolving, life happens. So whatever we're studying back then, it can be still applicable, but what people are studying now, we're going to see it evolve in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
I am curious, Dr. Keisha, because you said you're at the FDA, how was it like working during the pandemic? And I'm thinking you were like calibrating and looking after devices. Did you have anything like input when it comes to like COVID management?
I did, again, my own person here, not talking on behalf of the FDA. But when COVID hit, they sent us home and it was like just a week, 2 maybe. It's been 2.5 years now we've been home. They sent us home and it took maybe a couple months before they started siphoning people off to do different types of things. And because, the companies were scrambling to build tests.
Yeah.
And I was one of the chosen that moved into the serology group. And serology is just blood science, antibodies, that type of stuff. So I went over to the serology group and became a team lead for antibody tests. And we looked at a lot of like the home tests. And so we were reviewing, it's what's called emergency use, EUA. So it's like a rapid review. We do a lot quickly. So since we were home, we were able to work many hours and, be on the clock and be on call. And we needed to be, we facilitated that because it was a pandemic.
Yeah.
But I got to, because I'm in the toxicology branch, I don't often work in the microbiology branch. So I got to move over there and work with those scientists and look at those types of devices. And like you mentioned, the skills that you build back then aren't necessarily the skills you're going to be using. I'm a geneticist, not a microbiologist. And those words sound the same, but they're not. And so I had to learn too, That's a whole other branch of science I had to pick up. But yes, I am very, very thankful for the opportunity to have been able to work with a different group and learn a different type of science and have I don't know, have my little footmark on
Exactly,
the
that's what I'm
pandemic.
thinking. Yeah, because you're like, oh, I contributed to this, right? You see all those
I helped
tests
that
going-
work,
yeah,
you know, like
yeah,
my hand was in that. I reviewed that one.
yeah.
A tiny little
That's
bit.
absolutely beautiful.
Kind of a little bit. I know you mentioned, you know, in talking to other scientists that are also abroad that, you know, want to give back to Belize. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with your upbringing in Belize? What has it been like, you know? What do you love about Belize? And, you know, I know you mentioned you don't have a tangible answer as yet, but just in, you know, for dream's sake, what would you want to do when it comes to giving back to Belize?
Oh my
as well?
gosh, you're gonna tell me to dream. We'll be here all day.
Oh, we want to hear. I want to pick your brain and learn exactly, you know, the love that you have for your country.
Okay, sure. In responding to the first part of your question in terms of growing up, you know,
Yeah.
I went to Belize Elementary, SCA, SJC. I did the whole thing. And I think my network was my family because I feel like they give their all. Like my aunts, my uncles, my mom, my dad, my sister, they're just like, they want to push you. They're watching right now, hey. So while none of them are scientists, all of them are interested. And so, you know, that was my network. Those are the people that help. They like open doors and let me sit in the room and listen. And in terms of your second question, what do I dream?
I want to give back to Belize. Yeah, what's the dream?
I
for
would
Belize?
love to see a research center in Belize City that trains high school and up to do wet lab. So wet lab is like what you see on TV with the pipette and the coat, right? Because there's other aspects of science, there's computational science as well, where you're at the computer doing other things. And I actually think if I were to dream up a research center, I would love for it to have a wet lab space where you learn techniques that are basic and you just, you build confidence. Because I think a lot of it is like when you go abroad, you feel like without any real merit, you feel like you didn't get as much education coming from Belize. People feel like that. And it's not true. We're getting great education here. It's not true, but you feel
Thank
it.
you for saying that.
Yeah. You feel it anyway. Because you don't necessarily get the same like wet lab experience, but you have like the mental training
Right.
for it.
Yeah.
But I would like to give the actual hard, training.
Practical things
Yeah.
around it.
And then have a computational side for the people who don't want to do that. Because, it's not for everybody. And then also have a component that is more like reading, like literature research. I'm forgetting the word for it, but like not actually computational or wet lab, but having more of like a diving into the history of science type of, and it just all be merged in one here in the city because I'm from the city. And
okay.
Unfortunately, that's where my heart
City,
is.
you're a city girl at heart. You can't take the girl out of the You can take the girl out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the
Take the
girl.
city out of me, girl. That's my dream. And, I have spoken to my friends who are scientists, and I know they share similar dreams. So if you see us back here,
I'm gonna be. We're gonna have you back on this couch.
Exactly. I pray it manifests itself because I am thinking there's a lot of people in the country that are going from diseases that we do not really are aware of, right? And so if we were to have such space there, we're able to better diagnose people, improve their quality of healthcare,
Yeah.
get them that assistance for their quality of life to get improved. So I'm praying it manifests itself, honestly.
And
It
I'm
would-
praying
I pray
for
with you
science
too.
students
Yeah.
too as well, that they have that foundation holistically be able to say that, I have all of this in line. So when I do decide to go abroad or anything like that, I have this, I have a better advantage, a competitive advantage against other people that maybe have that in their country. So there's so much benefits that this could come from. And like you said, you have colleagues, you have friends that are able to have that kind of vision. And so we hope to see you back. We're praying for, all the prayer
Pray
warriors up
together.
there, guys.
Amen.
We done
Yeah.
the talk about it. Please pray for it. We're gonna have it.
You already said the right tribe make things work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's gonna happen.
And I
It's
can
gonna
say
happen.
all your family just
Yeah.
to wait for it
Dr.
to happen
Keisha, we're
to us.
so thankful for you to join us
True.
on our couch. Thank you so much for being here, for inspiring our viewers, for inspiring us. So as we end up this segment, we're going to be playing a short clip from your speech at the St. Patrick's Academy graduation.
Okay.
I want to hear, for our viewers, what kind of inspiration you gave them. But once more, we want to thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
It was us. I forget to ask what are your favorite Belizean food, girl.
Gal, you see, you ask me these types of questions, and I went there forever. Black dinner.
Oh, she's my
she
type
needs
of
to have my
person.
mom's
Yes, she needs to. Oh my gosh, his mom is Susie.
Really?
God sent fingers.
When I
Oh
show
my-
up at your house, you know.
She all the way to Orange Walk though.
Oh, okay, never
Yeah.
mind.
But guys, you heard it here, put it in a prayer list that we're going to be having a research center that can have wet lab and all of it. Dr. Keisha and all her friends, the whole shebang will come back and be able to help these young people be able to get that idea of that real exposure. And also, I think you said the compulsory or what?
Computational.
I'm close. I'm beginning C. I'm on to something, guys, but we're going to be able to have that. And so if you want to know a little bit more about her, we're going to have a short clip of her amazing graduation speech for St. Catherine's Academy. So let's take a look. And when we're back, we're going to be having more dynamic conversations. Stay tuned.
Steady and constant. One of the most important skills anyone can build is the ability to continue, to persist. Pretty much everyone will tell you that their journey to any version of success was not smooth. There are exit signs everywhere telling us to quit, that we can't do it. And you may or may not have seen those exit signs over the last 4 years. Certainly, the pandemic presented many exit signs. You were forced to find a new way to learn and new ways to maintain relationships. And look, the first in-person graduation in 2 years. You made it. You persisted. One of the most important seasons in your lives. It is the beginning of so much more. I challenge you to be still, to find comfort in the uncomfortable, and to remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, you belong. After all, you are an SCA girl. Congratulations.